This week in One Piece, we had a massive amount of OP11 cards revealed, the price of Buggy cards went very high, and a reprint of some notable characters that one was very overdue, and one potentially not even wanted. So starting off with the cards, and there are a lot of them this week, so we're going to make some pretty fast work through all of these. 5/6 2K Usopp, not bad, maybe you'll see played in Sanji. Other than that, not that interesting. We've got a lot of Straw Hat 2Ks at this point. Next up, we've got this Frankie, and this is one of a number of anti-Nami cards they seem to be printing in this set. I don't really know why. Frankie's a 4/4 2K Straw Hat crew. During your turn, once per turn, when your opponent activates an event, all your characters gain plus 2,000 power for the turn. So your Nami opponent plays a Gum Gum Gavel, all your characters get big. I mean, it's fine. I don't really know why we needed this though. Next up, we've got Zoro. This is a pretty bad version of the Luffy I've got pictured here from the ST21 starter deck. You can activate main, give something a Don. This does it when attacking, but also has Rush, so it's effectively activate main. I don't see this seeing play anywhere. Next up, we've got this Robin. This Robin's not too bad, actually. Probably the best we've had so far. On X2, when attacking, one of your opponent's characters gains minus 2,000 power until the end of their next turn. This is similar to Rayleigh's effect, where the debuff is permanent, and that's pretty cool. Obviously, in Red Starter Deck 21 Luffy, this is going to be much easier to use, because Don X2 is a lot, but Luffy giving 2 rested Don for the price of 1 seems like it'd be a natural home for this. Is it going to make this deck a lot better? Probably not, but it's an interesting inclusion for ST21 Luffy. Next up, we got this event, 2-cost event. This is Excalibur. Navy, Sword, Drake Pirates, main, up to 2 of your opponent's characters gain 2,000 power for this turn. Then one of your characters with the Navy type gains 1,000 power for the turn. And the trigger is KO of 4k. Trigger's rubbish, but the main is okay. It's 5,000 power for 2 Don. There's other events that do similar things. I'm not sure this is going to make very much of an impact. But minus power is probably better than plussing your own, because you can potentially get multiple uses of that. This is Smoker. This is terrible. 4/5, blocker, 1k, Navy. Don X1. This character cannot be KO'd by effects of characters without the special attribute. Borsalino came out a million years ago and cannot be KO'd by effects of any characters. This card's worthless. The only thing this has over Borsalino is it's red, but we've got really good blockers in red. This is not one we need. Tashigi is a 1/1 1k Navy type. Activate main, you arrest this character. If your leader has the Navy type, give one of your characters with the Navy type plus 2,000 power this turn. Very underwhelming. 1 Don and a card for 2k power. Your opponent's just going to kill this immediately. Could you put it behind a kid? Maybe. It just doesn't seem that good to me. If this was a 2k, I'd be more interested. Speaking of 2ks, here's X-Drake. He's a 6/7 Navy 2k. Are we playing this? Probably not. If you're playing Navy Red Smoker, Red Green Smoker, maybe you slot this in because it's 7,000 power and meets your leader condition. Probably not though. Borsalino is another very mid blocker. 3/3 1k blocker. Activate main, you can rest this character. One of your Navy leaders or characters can attack active characters during this turn. So I think the only deck you're really going to be playing this in is Kobe, if you ever are. But in Red-Black, we've got such hot competition for blockers. We've got Rebecca, we've got Borsalino, and we've also got OP04 Sabo. Will this see play? Maybe, but I just don't think so. I don't think it has what it takes to brawl with the big boys over here. Next up, we've got Ein. This is also very underwhelming. 3/4 1k on play, give one of your opponent's characters minus 1,000 power, then KO a 0 power or less unit. And this is Film Neo Navy. This is sort of Red's answer to 3-cost Brook, but it's miles worse. Because getting something all the way down to 0 power is much harder than getting it to 0 cost, because power is generally more useful because you can interact with it by battle. Cost is just arbitrary unless you have these removal effects, so they make cost a little easier to reduce. And Brook also does this when attacking, and can be summoned by Rebecca. This is not a good card. We have 5/6 Zephyr, Film Neo Navy 1k. Don X1 when attacking, one of your opponent's characters with the special attribute gains minus 5,000 for the turn. Niche, garbage, rubbish, not playing this. I am the man who will become a Navy officer. This is another Navy Searcher, one cost event. Look at the top 3 from the top of your deck, reveal 1, and then trash the rest. 1 navy type, I should say. And the trigger is activate main. This card clearly intended for Kobe, but red-black has such hot competition in the search department. You've of course got brand new, you've got Sengoku, who can trash 2, draw 3, and we've now got Peacock, who has her double effects. Is this going to see play? Maybe, probably, I'm not sure. I think you're always playing brand new first. Probably Peacock. If you're more of a red build, you might play this over Sengoku. One other thing to note is you could play this in Sakazuki if he does get unbanned. Because this doesn't say black, it can grab blue cards. And I have heard that using black Sengoku is a little trickier than anticipated in Sakazuki. So maybe this event sees a little bit of play there. But they also have the blue Tashigi, so it's kind of all up in the air. Card's not bad though. Aramaki is a 1/2/2k with the navy type. Activate main, trash his character. If your leader has navy, choose one of your characters with navy. That character can attack active characters during this turn. Then trash 2. Pretty underwhelming. Navy has a lot of good 2ks. This is competing mainly with Tsudu, because Tashigi and T-Bone sort of fulfill the other role that if you are playing those, you're playing them partly just to be grabbed with Rebecca. Neither Aramaki nor Tsudu can do that. I could see this seeing play in a build that's not focused on cost at all, but if you're focusing on cost, I think Tsudu's better, and this is just not amazing. Of course, attacking active characters is pretty good, but the fact that it can't choose your leader is a bit of a shame. However, milling 3 for Kobe is pretty relevant. Will this see play? Maybe. Next up, we've got Ripper. He's a 1/1/1k with 1k counter. And he says, if you have another black navy type character in play other than Ripper, this character gains blocker. So we've seen the Apu blocker that's exactly the same in yellow. See a little bit of play in Kid. Will this see play in navy? I'm not so sure. I think Rebecca is kind of just the blocker in black. You've got to have a really good reason to not be playing Rebecca. Of course, this being 1 cost is much more versatile in terms of opportunity cost, but Rebecca just gets you so much value. I don't think this is going to be worth it. Next up, we've got this card. This is a 1 cost of Navy event, and I believe the name translated as I'm losing my touch. It's a counter event. One of your leaders or characters gains 1,000 power for the battle. Then, if your trash has 10 or more cards, grab a black character with a cost of 3 or less from trash to hand. Pretty underwhelming. You can grab a 2k, so there's a guard point, but that's just kind of not great. I don't see this really seeing play anywhere. Being able to get a particular card back could be useful, but 1 Don for 1k counter, not amazing. We have a 6/7 2k Bogard. I don't think we're ever playing this. T-Bone is pretty good at being in this sort of range and has a good effect. Of course, stats are worse, but I just don't think we care about vanillas in black in particular. Next up, we've got Blue Hole, and I think this is pretty bad. 3 Don, Navy. You may trash the top 3 cards of your deck, KO 2. And the trigger is a red trigger, interestingly. You get 1,000 power for the turn. I guess that makes sense with being Garp. Either way, this compares fairly unfavourably to both this 3 vs Hum card, which is terrible, and Finger Gun, which is a good card. So are we going to see this play? I don't think so. I think you would just play Finger Gun. Even where it's not searchable, it just hits so much higher. You still get the mill effect for just 1 more cost, and the trigger is miles better. I don't think I'm ever playing this over Finger Gun. Next up, we got this guy. I can't remember his name. He's a 4/5/2k. And this is another one of those Nami hate cards. On play, your opponent places 3 events from the trash to the bottom of their deck. If you're playing Black Navy and you're having a tough time with Nami, maybe you can put these in as your 2Ks if you're not relying on other ones. But I mean, we've got good 2Ks in Navy. We've got Tashigi from Start Deck 6. We've got T-Bone from EBO1. And of course, we've got Tsudu. So I'm not sure about this fella. Next up, we've got the guy who rusted Zoro's sword. And this is bad, but it's really cool. I love the flavour. He's a 4/5/1k Navy. Blocker, once per turn. When your opponent's character attacks, you may activate this effect. If that character has the slash attribute, this character gains 5,000 power for the battle. So it's pretty cool, right? His Devil Fruit was he can rust anything metal. So it makes sense that he's good against slash guys. And the thing you want to do is block with him, then use the effect, make him tank over the battle, so you can block anything. In practice, this is just going to be shit. But I really like the flavour. 5-7 Black Maria, why, who cares, moving on. 5-6, some Animal Kingdom Pirates character, 2k, fine. Did Black Animal Kingdom need a new searchable 2k? I'm not sure. This is King Orochi, whatever he's called. It doesn't matter, his effect's terrible. 3-4-1k, Land of Wano and Orizumi clan or something. On play, add up to 1 card with the type Smile with a cost of 5 or less from your trash to hand. In the effect's fine, it's a little bit like Rebecca, only much worse. Doesn't get to play anything, not a blocker. Very underwhelming. This Smile archetype, nowhere near good. Maybe in the future though, this could be good. I just doubt it. Caribou. This is reasonable. 1-2, 2k, good stats. Blocker, very good stats. On play, you have to trash 2 from your hand. So this kind of card design, where it's overstatted with a downside, I think it's really cool. However, this one you can play it in Blackbeard, because he doesn't get the on play, and so you don't have to trash 2, so you just get a 1-2 blocker with 2k counter. Is Blackbeard going to play this over Vasco Shot? Probably not. The searchability of Vasco Shot is very useful. But this being a 1-2 2k is not the worst. It's cool card design at least. Then we got Caribou. On play, it's a 3-5 1k, so another overstatted card. On play, trash 1 card from your hand. Activate main, you can trash this character and play a Caribou. With a cost of 4 or less. So this card is honestly reasonable, however the issue is the 4-cost Caribous are not reasonable. You've got these two. These are the best two, and they're both awful. Moving on. Carrots is a bit of an amalgamation of Perona and Buggy. 1-1-1k, on play, Minx, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and place them at the top or the bottom. So being able to bottom them is a nice step over Buggy, but it's only 3, so it's considerably worse than Perona. However, you have this other effect, on opponent's attack you may trash this character, give one of your leaders 1000 power for the battle. So this is a 1k, there's a 1k on your board. That's pretty cool. It can help into things like Pudding maybe, or the 4-cost Law. However, I'm just not seeing a home for this right now. In something like Doflamingo, you're bouncing all your stuff anyway, so I don't see a reason to play this over Perona, and Buggy is a 2k, which is obviously better. The stat line is stinky. I think this could be good in the future in a Minx Blue leader, but right now I think this will see no play at all. Moving on, we've got Pedro. He's a 1-1-1k, Minx again. If you have 4 less cards in your hand, he's a blocker. Are we getting a Minx Blue leader soon? Is this what this is saying? Because otherwise these cards are very weird. 6-7 2k Bartolomeo, Dressrosa, Barto Club. No. 5-6 2k Vinsmoke Niji, Germa and Vinsmoke types. You can search him, and you can turn into him with the baby Niji. Maybe. We've got 2 good 2Ks in Vinsmoke now. We've got the blue Reiju that we covered a couple of weeks back. And we've got Sora, who is very powerful. Are we playing this? Probably not. The other Niji is simply better. And he's still a 1k, so I don't think this makes the cut. Ichiji is a bit of a shame. I wish this card was a Niji or a Yonji, and not an Ichiji, because Ichiji is the good one from the Reiju deck. However, anyway, he is a 7-7 no-K blocker. Bonus attack once per turn. If you have only characters that have a type that includes Germa in play, you can use this effect. One of your leaders or characters gains 1,000 power for the battle. I don't know if it was 10. Then you mill 2. It's alright. Of course, this does give you a little bit more defense, and being a 7-7 blocker is very nice. However, I think generally this is weaker than the offense of the other Ichiji. And having to only be able to play Germa cards means that some of your cards that you do like to play in this Reiju deck, things like Porsche, things like the Tony Chopper blocker, things like Black Maria, you can't play if you're opting for this sort of game plan. So I think that's a big mark against the card. However, I wouldn't be too surprised to see this as maybe a 1 or 2 of in Reiju, just for when you're not seeing your Rush Ichijis in the early game. Yonji is interesting. 451k blocker, got all your standard Germa stuff. If the only characters on your field are Germa, this character cannot be KO'd or rested by effects. It's not the worst, it's better than the original Yonji, I think. A blocker that can't be rested or KO'd is pretty cool. However, it can still be bounced by Law, it can be bot decked by Raging Tiger. So, it's not amazing, and it's got that effect that we just talked about where it's locked to everything being Germa, which means that you can't use Porsche, can't use Chopper. Will this see play? Honestly, probably not. I'm a bit disappointed that they're printing more Reiju stuff, and most of it's just crap. Like, they could have used these slots for better cards. We got a Luffy, a 5/7 1k, with if you have 5 or more cards in your hand, this character cannot attack, but he's also a blocker. Now, 5/7 blocker with counters is pretty good, and I think this is a blue-yellow ace card. This is another 5-cost dude you can put on top of your deck with your leader effect to then summon with the baby versions of the brothers. And honestly, this one's pretty good. Being just a massive blocker is very reasonable. And blue-yellow ace typically doesn't have a ton of cards in his hand, so you're more than likely going to be able to attack with this if you sort of jig it right. I do think this will see play in blue-yellow ace. I don't think it's going to move the needle on blue-yellow ace not being complete shit. Moving on, speaking of complete shit, we got this Brook. A 3/4 1k blocker on play, a bot deck, an original cost 1. Horrible. Why would you ever play this over OP11 Doflamingo blocker? Rancid card. Moving on. Oh, and by the way, this is a rare, so enjoy getting this in your rare slot. What is this, man? This is horrific. Anyway, we got a new event now. This is Let's Crash This Wedding, 1-cost event. If your leader is multicolored, look at the top 5 for Straw Hat Crew type card other than itself, and then bot the rest. Trigger, activate main. So this is competing for me mostly with beige or purple Law in the blue-purple Luffy. I think it competes quite favourably. Yes, this doesn't have counter. Yes, this doesn't have a body. But it searches top 5, not top 4, so you're getting a little bit deeper. And notably, this can search for Gum Gum Giant, because it can search for other 1-cost cards. It can also search for Gear Second. And I think having search for both of those, alongside all your other stuff, maybe Zoro Juro, your Blue Sanji, Nami Blocker, Big Rush Luffy, all that stuff, I think it's going to be very impactful. So I think this will just be a 4-of in Blue-Purple Luffy. Outside of that, I don't know how much play this is going to see, but it's not bad. 5/6 2k Chopper. He is an animal. You could maybe do an animal thing with this, but probably not. Pretty underwhelming. These vanilla-ish 2ks are not great. I don't really love it. Next up, we got Gum Gum King Cobra. This is a 1-cost event, and this is kind of like Blue's Rad Beam. Counter, one of your leaders or characters gains 2,000 power for the battle. Then, if your hand has 4 less cards, you get another 2,000. So, like I was saying, kind of like Rad Beam. More awkward condition to meet, but not bad. Trigger's bad. Moving on, we got this guy. This is some Fire Tank Pirate guy, Vito, I believe. 3/4 1k on play, you may discard 1 Fire Tank Pirate from your hand. Character gains a rush. Horrific. You're never playing this. We also got Gotti. I didn't know any of these characters exist. I thought Beige was like the only named one. But here we are. This is a 3/4 2k at least, so you can search it off of Beige. And it is a 2k. I don't think you ever would. However, when attacking, you can discard 1 card with the type Fire Tank Pirates. Bounce a 1 to the bottom of the owner's deck or their hand. Bad. Really bad. You're never playing this. Compares horribly to Brook. Not good. 1-cost event. When 2 men are fighting, the last thing I need is some half-assed assistance. No longest name event in the game? Question mark? Anyway, 1 cost, counter, you may declare a cost. Reveal 1 card from the top of your opponent's deck. It has the same cost as the declared cost. Your leader or one of your characters gains 5,000 power for the battle. This is power creep on Rad Beam. Rad Beam, classic card, 1 for 4. This, what are we going to call this? 2 men. 2 men is 1 for 5. Of course, you're going to need to use your Katakuri leader effect. You're never going to play this in anything else. Also, this artwork is crazy. I love it. Trigger draw is also nice. I think this is going to be a staple in Purple Katakuri. Give him a good bit of defense. You'd be crazy not to play a 1-cost 5k event, right? Next up, this is honestly one of the most interesting cards for the Katakuri deck. This is 5/7 Paros Perrot. Activate main once per turn, trash 1, declare a cost, reveal the card. If you called it right, draw 1 and ramp 1 as active. So this is your ramper. Your problem in Katakuri is your Don is going down, down, down. Well, Paros Perrot makes it go up a little bit. And also gives you a bit of cycle. Trash 1, draw 1, ramp a Don every single turn is very compelling. Especially on a 5/7 body. This is just a good card. And of course you can set this as active again with your 8-cost Katakuri once you get that going. This will be a 4 in Katakuri. It won't go anywhere else because of its locked condition. However, very good card, very impressed. This is what Katakuri needed. I'm probably going to cook up a list for this soon. Now that we've got most of the cards, I think this leader has a good bit of promise now. This card is, like, very good. Moving on, we got Brûlée. She's a 3/4 1k. On play, you can damage yourself. And then if your leader has Big Mom Pirates, you can ramp a Don as active. Very underwhelming. I don't see why I'd play this over Bon Clay, and I don't see why I'd play this over It's to Die For. Yes, this is a character with 1k counter and a body. The body's not great, and you literally kill yourself to ramp. I don't like this, at least with the sort of clone of this that they had in Kid, the 3-cost Kid. Taking your own life is kind of beneficial for Kid, because you get out of his downside. And also that was a 3/5, which is much more relevant body. I don't think this is going to see any play, but I suppose it could. 3/4, Charlotte Montdor, 2k counter. Big Mom Pirates, of course. Activate main, once per turn, Don -1, rest this character. Your opponent plays 2 cards from their trash to the bottom of the deck, then you take a life. It's anti-damage tech if you want it. You probably don't, but you could. Also, searchable 2k, so you might just play this anyway. Next up, we've got Stroizen. He is a 3/3 2k Big Mom Pirates. Activate main, once per turn, Dominance 1, rest this character. Declare a cost, flip the card. If it's the same, rest a 4. Very underwhelming effect. Probably slightly better than Charlotte Montdor in general use. So as a searchable 2k, not bad. Could come in clutch at the end of the game to rest a blocker after you've used your leader effect. Not the worst. Probably going to see play just because it's searchable. And then we got this guy, I can't remember his name, Charlotte something or other. 6/7, 2k, Big Mom Pirates. It's a vanilla card, but it is a 2k. Probably better off playing this than Charlotte Montdor. I think I'd play Stroizen, and then if you want a second searchable 2k, you could consider this. Next up, we've got this 6-cost event. This is a Big Mom Pirates card. Activate main, declare a cost of your choice. Reading these is so repetitive. Reveal the card. If it's the same cost, KO an 8. An original 8. So anything that would increase or decrease cost doesn't matter. Trigger, ramp a Don. I think this compares fairly unfavourably to Ragnarok. It's an extra, costs 1 more, and you have to have already done this. Yes, you don't have to Don -1, and it is searchable. So maybe, but Ragnarok's not really seeing any play, and I don't think this will either. Next up, we got Randolph. He's a 1/2 1k during your turn once per turn. When a Don on your field is returned to the Don deck, one of your Big Mom Pirates type characters gains +2 cost till the end of your opponent's next turn. Very reminiscent of the Going Merry, and we've seen how good the Going Merry is in Green Purple Luffy. Is this going to do the same? Absolutely not. This is not a stage, so it can be interacted with. And it also doesn't say draw a card on play. And honestly, that's the bigger one. I don't think this will see any play, and I don't think you should be surprised either. Next up, we got Charlotte Anana. 1/1 1k. Another one of these little chump blockers. If you have another Big Mom Pirates card, it gains a blocker. Similar to Apu. This one, maybe. This one, maybe. We do have... We go back a few. The big Katakuri blocker. We already have a blocker in this. We're probably playing blocker Kid. Maybe even playing blocker Queen. Purple's got great blockers. But are we playing this? Maybe as a couple, just to have a chump blocker. You need to protect your guys. But that 8-cost cat standing your dudes up. makes me kind of less interested in playing this. We'll see. I'm going to say no, but you never know. Now, we got some Robin support. What a time to be alive. This is Jaguar D. Saul. He's O'Hara, Giants, and Navy. 6/6, no K, which is a bit of a shame. I wish this had 1K counter. However, it has a good effect. On play, if your leader is Nico Robin, and you have 7 or more Don cards on the field, don't forget, you can play this on 6, just as long as you use your leader attack and ramp first, because you'll have 7 Don, and 6 of them will still be active. Draw 2. Just draw 2, no condition. And the trigger is activate the on-play effect. So the trigger is just draw 2 effectively, like a Pilaf. It's competing mainly with the 6-cost Robin in this sort of slot in the deck. How favourably does it compete with that? I'd say fairly. It's definitely a better trigger. And so you can trash it with your leader effect as well, because it has that trigger. And drawing 2 cards is nice for these multicolour leaders who kind of struggle with card advantage. I do wish this was either a 6/7/0K or a 6/6/1K. Stat line definitely leaves something to be desired, but it's not too bad. Next up, we've got Hannibal, and I forgot to put the text on the screen, so apologies for that. Hannibal is a 5/5/1K with the Impel Down type. He's a blocker, which is fine. 5K blocker is not great. However, on play, he says, if your leader has the Impel Down type, you may play a character with the Impel Down type and a cost of 3 or less from your hand. So, you can play Hannibal, Hannibal can play Sadie, and then Sadie can play a Jailer Beast. Your hand gets Giga Nuked, but then you can pick up the Sadie with the Hannibal leader to get a ramp. It's not the worst. Bit of board spam is going to be pretty useful for this deck. Is it going to move the needle? I don't think so. I think Hannibal is just doomed. The Impel Down archetype, I think, kind of just needs a new leader, honestly. Neither this nor OG Magellan are very good. And I'd love them to be good, because I really enjoyed the Impel Down arc in the story. Characters like Sadie and Hannibal and Magellan were really cool. I'd like a good Impel Down leader, but we just don't have it. And we do have a Sadie. She's 2/2/2K. On play, Dom -1. If your leader has the type Impel Down, rest to 3. Crap. But searchable Impel Down 2K if you really want it. Next up, we're moving into green and yellow. And this is all sort of Shirahoshi/Jinbei support. And we're starting off with Shirahoshi herself. 1-cost Searcher, functional clone of Baby 5 and Jewelry Bonnie. You rest 1 Don, rest her, look at the top 5 for Sea King or Fishman Island. Not bad. These are some of the things you could get, and we're going to cover a couple more of these Sea Kings, especially the yellow ones in the next pages. And don't forget that in Jinbei, you can actually stand Shirahoshi back up at the end of your turn. So your opponent can't just attack into them like they would with something like Baby 5 or Bonnie, which is pretty cool, because you will have 6 cards or less, no doubt. I think this is going to be a staple in Shirahoshi. In Jinbei, you're going to have to sort of weigh up your build between this and the 1-cost Kami. Both of them are going to be valid, just going to depend what archetypes you're playing in your deck, because they search for different things. First, in terms of the new Sea Kings, we got Gyorome. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, not really got to this guy yet. He's a 4/6/0K Sea Kings card, and if your leader is Shirahoshi, this character can attack characters the same turn it's played. Decent effect, decent card, good stat line, reasonably hard to attack into. Playing this out for 1 is somewhat compelling. I think the biggest issue is just that it's not that big. 4/6 is a good stat line when you're playing it for 1, but if you are not playing it for 1, it's not great. And this leader's downside of just not being able to attack, I think is going to be more impactful than you think. Hatchan is a 4/5/1K with the Fishman Islands, and former Arlong Pirates type. Interestingly, activate main, you may rest this character if your leader has the type Fishman or Merfolk, so you're locked to Jinbei and Shirahoshi, basically, or Arlong, but I don't know if you're playing this out in Arlong, you don't have a trigger. One of your opponent's characters at a cost of 3 or less may not be rested until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this cannot be rested effect was really good on 3-cost Arlong. Hitting a 3 is so bad. A cost, if this said 4, I'd be on board with this card. But it doesn't. It says 3. So I think the card is crap. Anyway, moving on. We've got Uroko. This is the big boss monster of Shirahoshi, sadly. 681k Sea Kings, vanilla. You're definitely playing this in Shirahoshi. Playing this out for 1 is very good. This is bigger than anything Vegapunk has been able to play out for 1. And Vegapunk's seen success, although I think that a lot of that is because he can heal himself and everything has trigger. But I think if Shirahoshi is going to see success, this is going to be a fairly big part of it. Next up, we got Gum Gum Elephant Gatling. 1 cost event, main, rest 1 of your Don, rest of 5, so it's 2 Don, rest of 5, or it's a guard point for your leader. Not bad. Are we playing this in Jinbei? Maybe. It's searchable off of the Shirahoshi Searcher. Also searchable off of Bonnie Searcher, interestingly, because it is a Supernovas. And also Straw Hat Crew, so maybe you could search it off the Nami Searcher. However, in general, I don't think it's that great. The first effect compares unfavourably to Straw Sword, and the second effect compares very unfavourably to Billionfold World Trichiliacosm. So I'm not sure this is amazing. Could see playing Jinbei, just because he does give you that 1 Don, but it's not super exciting. We've also got this one, this Vagabond Drill, another 1 cost counter event. If your leader has Fishman or Merfolk, one of your leader or characters gains 3,000 power for the battle, then rest of 3. Again, why 3? Make it 4. Make it 4 and I'm here. I'm here for it. 3, shit. I'm playing Trichiliacosm and I don't care. Moving on, we got Tori. This is a 6/7 2k Sea Kings. What's up with the design of these Sea Kings, by the way? These are really weird looking characters. Either way, are you playing this in Shirahoshi? Definitely. This is a big body that you can play out for 1, and it's a 2k. I'm here for this one. Next up, we got Ishili. She's a 201k with the Fishman Island and Merfolk types. Once per turn, or when your opponent attacks, you can rest 1 Don and this character. Give one of your leaders or characters 1,000 power for the turn. So, where I think this is going to be good is in specifically Jinbei with 8 cost Kid. You can make your 8 cost Kid 9,000 for the turn, but just the cost of the 1 Don that Jinbei gives you for free. Obviously, if this character is just on her own, or you're playing into hard removal, it's gone. However, if you're not playing into hard removal, which is the matchups where Kid is best anyway, and you can stick this behind Kid, your Kid being at 9k every turn is just going to be even harder for your opponent to overcome. And again, if they're playing hard removal, yes, they can get around it. We've got other ways to deal with that. We've got Rosnante Blocker. We've got Toshigi. So I think this Ishili will see play in Jinbei if you're playing a Kid build. If you're not, no. And don't forget, this can also just buff your leader to 6k for the turn, which is pretty crazy. If this is for the battle and this is a mistranslation, horrific. However, given the cost of this effect, I really don't think it would be. But hey, if it is for the battle, I apologise, the card's ass. Next up, we got Aladdin. He's a 451k with the Fishman, Fishman Island, and Sun Pirates type. When this character is KO'd by one of your opponent's effects, you may trash 1 card from your hand and rest 1 Don. If you do, play a character with the types Fishman or Merfolk with a cost of 6 or less from your hand. So the thing you're going to be summoning is this big Jinbei, and getting to summon this is great. However, it's going to cost you a card. It's going to cost you another card because you've got to play the Jinbei, and you've got to have a Don up. The Don is very easy with Jinbei's leader effect, but the rest of it is not so great, and this is only KO'd by effects. This is not KO'd in battle. So I think what's realistically going to happen is you're going to play this, your opponent's going to sort of leave it there, you're going to attack with it, and then your opponent's just going to attack back into it, and it's going to die, and you're not going to get the effect, and you've played a 4-5 for the turn. Pretty underwhelming. You get this effect off, very powerful. I just don't think you really will. Moving on, we've got Charlotte Praline. She's a 3/4 blocker with the Merfolk, Fishman Island, and Sun Pirates type. And on play, you can rest a 1. No. You're Not My Type is a 1 cost event. Leader lock to Shirahoshi. Trigger is rubbish, but if you use this as a counter event, one of your leader lock characters gains 4,000 power for the battle. 1 cost, 4k, like a rad beam. No condition to meet other than being leader locked. I think we will be playing this in Shirahoshi. You're going to need defense in this deck to defend your characters from battle, because your opponent is going to starve you, and 4k counter for just 1 Don seems pretty good to me. Next up, we got this guy. This is Fukaboshi. And this sort of reminded me of Kairos from the Dressrosa archetype. If this character is a 3/5 Fishman Island and Merfolk, I believe, this character will be KO'd. You may rest your Shirahoshi leader or Fishman Island instead. And that's the bit that matters. This includes KO by battle and KO by effects. It can still be bounced by lore, still be bot decked by various effects, but being a very sticky body, I think is what Shirahoshi's going to need, and leaning into this seems quite good. Also on play, you can take a life and KO a 1. Very niche situations where you would use this to take the life because it's face up and you need it to be face down so that you can use Shirahoshi's leader effect. Generally though, this effect sucks. We're playing it with this first one just to try and stick a body. Is this going to be that good? Maybe not. We've got a lot of removal that's not KO now. But maybe. Fishman Island is a pretty good stage. 2 costs, activate main once per turn if your leader is Shirahoshi. Flip the top card of your life, face up. Then one of your Sea King or Fishman type characters gains 1000 power for the turn. Interesting that this doesn't buff Merfolk. Like I said a while back, all these Fishman Island, Fishman, Merfolk, Sea King cards are getting very confusing. It's going to take me a little bit to get my head around what all the combos do and don't do. But generally, I think 1000 power is pretty reasonable. And flipping your life face up is actually useful because there's quite a few effects in this archetype that need to flip it back face down. It's just going to be a weird balance. And of course, this lets you rest this stage to save Fukaboshi. Next up, we've got Kami. This card kind of sucks. This is a 1/1/2k with the Merfolk and Fishman Island type. Your turn, once per turn, when your opponent activates an event or a trigger, you may activate this effect. Your opponent has 2 or more life, trash the top card of both players' life. It's anti-Nami tech. Again, why does this set have like a bunch of uncommon anti-Nami tech? Whatever. Are you going to play this? Probably not though, but if there is Nami in your local meta, maybe you slot in 1 or 2 Kami, because trashing their life is pretty good. Next up, we got Merman Combat Ultramarine, 6 cost event, main, add 1 character to the cost of 6 or less, face up to the top or bottom of the owner's life. So this can heal you, which for 6 is very cheap. However, I think this compares very unfavourably to 8 cost Katakuri, back from OP03. This does the same thing, it's bigger, and is an 8k body for just 2 more cost. I don't think we're playing this. I think if you want this style of effect, just go with 8 cat. Next up we got Charlie. She's not bad, 3/4/1k blocker on play, flip the top card of your life face down. So that's what I was talking about, both Shirahoshi and the stage, flip it face up. And then the 2 big ones that flip it face down are Chonmage and Charlie, and also King Neptune. It's going to be an interesting balance. But this one says, on play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal a Fishman Island type card, and add it to your hand. And again, that's Fishman Island, not Merfolk, not Fishman, not Sea King. Anyway, this is pretty good. This is going to grab most of the cards from the new set at least. Nothing from before set 11 has Fishman Island. I think pretty much all the non-Sea King cards in set 11, like Megalo and King Neptune, do have Fishman Island. So there's that. Blocker draws you a card. We've seen that be pretty good in the Nico Robin blocker. Seen playing Green Purple Luffy. This will probably see play in Shirahoshi, but it's not that crazy. But it is a blocker that replaces itself, so pretty good. Moving on, we got this character. This is Otohime. 1/0/2k on play if your leader is Shirahoshi. You may turn 1 card from the top of your life cards face down. Draw a card. If you need a searchable 2k, this is Merfolk Fishman Island. You might play this. We've got a decent bit of competition though. You've got the Sea King card. And there was another one from before. So I'm not sure how much play this is going to see. This effect is not very good. But it is what it is. Let's move on. Shakure is probably going to see play just because of his stat line alone. 5/7, activate main. If your leader is Shirahoshi, you may rest this character and turn 1 card from the top of your life card face down, not face up. KO 3. There's not many 3s that we're looking to KO, like I said before. Being able to KO something like Brook or Hina could be reasonable. Not amazing, but it could be worse. And it's a 5/7 Seeking that you can play for 1 Don, at the very least. Shame he doesn't have counter. Moving on, we got this guy, and I believe this is the last new card we got. This is a 6/7 2K with the Fishman Island and Merfolk types. So this is the other one I was talking about. This is searchable. We can't play this out for 1. We can play this out for 6. And it would kind of suck too. But he's searchable. He's a 2K. Maybe. Probably not. But maybe. That was a lot of cards. Did you make it or did you skip? I respect it if you did skip. There's a lot of chaff this week. This was the OP09 TAC Games February Treasure Cup. And this was the top 16. We had 5 Dofi, 3 Bonnie, interestingly. I did get a comment recently that Green Bonnie is very popular out in Oceania. Not really sure why. Maybe they just have less Lucci players, because like Lucci and Teach just murder Bonnie. But she is pretty powerful into Dofi, and with the right techs can be pretty reasonable into Black Yellow Luffy. However, Black Yellow Luffy was able to take down this tournament, winning out in the end. Congratulations to Squiggle for their win. Not often you see something that's not Dofi win a tournament, so hey, well played. And let's move on to the next one, because this list is nothing too crazy. Next up, we had the Versus Games February Treasure Cup. And this one, it was a bit weird. 6 Shanks in the top 32 is kind of unseen. Also, I think this is Katakuri's first showing at all. So that's pretty cool. I have seen the Katakuri list. It doesn't seem that different from what I've been seeing before. I guess he just had a good run on the day, but either way, well played to that player. This was won by Josh Graham with his Doflamingo deck. And surprisingly, it looks exactly the same as every other Doflamingo deck. Nothing too crazy going on. We're not going to linger here, but massive congratulations to Josh Graham for his win. The biggest piece of news we got this week, definitely this information about PRB02. Shout out to Andy Collects on X for this graphic. And this is releasing on September 8th. Sorry for the Europeans, this is the American date. Unfortunately not coming out in August, although I wish it was too. And we got 2 cards confirmed. Sabo from OP04, that's the Dressrosa Sabo. And Trafalgar Law from ST17, which I thought was getting banned. And now I'm not so sure it will. I think 2-cost Teach looking more and more likely to be on the chopping block as we speak. However, we have confirmed all the same stuff we had last time. New alt arts, the Jolly Roger foils are back. And we also have new cards in this set. From PRB01, obviously we only got the red Sanji leader. I guess they had less they want to reprint from this new set. We're getting some new cards, and I'm here for that. Strengthening older leaders is something I love in the game. Until Doflamingo got a little bit too oppressive, I was really here for all the love that Doflamingo was getting. Like the Jinbei, Weevil, and then the starter deck came out and it got a little bit too crazy. But like with Purple Luffy, the Purple Luffy starter deck coming out and breathing a nice bit of fresh air into that leader is awesome. What leaders do I want strengthened? My big one is Green Wano. I recently played Kinemon with the new Kinemon torso and legs from the new set. And it wasn't very good, but it was very fun. I think if we get some new Wano cards to strengthen Green Odin, Red Green Odin, that would be awesome. And also Green Kinemon, I suppose. We're also getting more gold Dons, they're coming back. And we have got confirmed with its 10 cards per pack and 20 packs per box. Same as PRB01, a little bit different to most of your normal sets. In terms of the rarities, we also had those confirmed. We're getting 1 leader, so presumably this is a new leader. I don't think there's any old leaders they'd be reprinting. Unless they wanted to reprint ST10 Luffy, because that is reasonably pricey at this point. By the way, if they could do a reprint of like the whole of ST10, just make more of them, that would be great. How about we do that? Kid is getting silly money, and even the leaders now. Anyway, moving on. 23 commons, 25 uncommons, 4 promos, 21 rares, 27 supers, 8 secrets, and 30 dons. I'm going to do a video fairly soon about what I would like to see reprinted in this set. I'm going to presume this is only including cards up to and including set 10. Don't think set 11 would be included in this. That will be the most recent set out at the time of this being printed. So it wouldn't really make sense to do reprints for a set that's currently on the market. However, I do expect cards up to and including set 10 to potentially get reprints in this set. We also got some updated release dates for a bunch of other sets. This is set 10, Western release, March 21. This is coming up. Your pre-releases should be able to register for soon. Keep an eye on your local game store for that. Then we're getting EBO2 in May. We don't have an exact date. And OP11 is coming in June. I would expect EBO2 to probably be early May and OP11 to be late June. But who's to say? Either way, in the next 3 months, we're getting a lot of cards. So I hope you've saved up your pennies for these. We're also getting this starter deck. This is actually the next thing that's coming out. This is coming out in just under a month on March 14th. And the SC21, interestingly, the web page doesn't mention having like a little pack with alt arts. I'm not sure if they're doing away with that for this product. But that is interesting. I really hope not. So I enjoyed seeing those in the Japanese. And if those don't come over to the West, that'd be a little disappointing. Especially given this has like a $35 price tag. So to get none of those would be a little disappointing, even if we are getting 70 sleeves, which will no doubt be dog shit quality and unusable for tournaments. But hey, let's see what happens. Fingers crossed that we do get that sealed pack of alt arts. We also had confirmation that the OP10 pre-release promo will finally be foot buggy, and that's going to sort of lean into the market watch for this episode. Winner participation. We're also getting the crap lore leader that was made to replace RP lore. I'll be picking up one of these lores, obviously, for my leader collection. However, I don't anticipate using this ever. Buggy is pretty good. We've been waiting on this one for a while. I know there's a lot of Buggy players out there who've been quite frustrated at Bandai's refusal to print this card. But at least it is being mass produced. This is not a regional promo. So at least the base version shouldn't set you back too many dollars. Now, in terms of the mini market watch for this week, we're going to start off with Sabo. And this is not an increase, but a decrease. So this has been on the downturn for a long time. Obviously, this is still a 4 of in BY. But this is seeing less and less play in decks like Lucci and Smoker. So seeing this drop makes a little bit of sense. But since that reprint was announced, this has dropped all the way down to $15. It was like 22, even just a couple of weeks back. So that's pretty cool to see. I'm all for cards getting cheaper. And I'm thinking of getting rid of a couple of my Sabos recently. Because I don't really play BY. So I think dumping a couple of them before PRB02 might make sense. But either way, this card's great. Having a reprint of this is going to be brilliant. But the price is now falling. So buy at your own risk. This could drop more in the next couple of weeks. Next up, we've got a few Buggy cards. This is the Alt Art of Crocodile. Don't worry about this. This is pre-release prices. This sat around $10 for ages. The cheapest is now like 18 because look at the shipping, right? The cheapest is now 18. If you were going to play Buggy, I think you've missed the boat. I wouldn't pay $18 for this card. Buggy's not that good a deck, even with the new foot Buggy. But I can sort of see why this has gone up. However, if you were going to play Buggy, you should have picked these up by now. This was silly to not pick them up at $10. And I'm going to say exactly the same thing about 10 cost Buggy. A little bit cheaper, because the card is generally a little bit worse. And of course you have the Wanted poster one as well. And the manga for you high rollers out there. However, this has risen to around $15, $16 from, again, about 10. So, buyer beware. This could go up even more once we actually get the promo in people's hands. And if the deck does see success, it could go up again. But I think you've missed the boat on this one as well. And the last Buggy card we have is the Mihawk. This one's still fairly reasonable. There's one here for like $10, right? Although that is the only one at $10. And then you rapidly go up to 12 and 15. So maybe not. Maybe I take it all back. But this card is slightly more splashable in other decks. Not right now, but I think in the future, this could be a decent play for other blue decks that we get. It's just going to be tough because we've got that 5/6 Nami now, right? So, tough competition. However, card's not bad. Good in Buggy. If you want to play Buggy, you should have got these about a week ago. Finger Gun is the last one. And can I just say, what the fuck? Why is this $12? It's a rare, man. Come on, reprint this. This is one that really needs reprinting in PRB02. EBO1 cards, you know what they are. They're classic. Everything just goes up for no reason. This is only seeing plain Blackbeard, and it's been seeing plain Blackbeard since, like, all the way back here. Why has this shot up in the last week? I don't really know, but it has, and here we are. So, thank you for watching This Week in One Piece. As ever, if there's anything I missed, please leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. We do this every week, as long as I remember. So, if you want to keep up with all the news on a weekly basis in one video, please drop me a sub. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.